Hi everybody, and welcome back to a brand new video on Alex Elite Golf. Today is a massive video for you. We're going to talk about how we can stop slicing it with driver and actually do something that you may never have actually considered doing for a few different reasons. So if you're new to the channel, guys, welcome. I bring you content every week that's going to help raise your game to the next level. So let's get straight into today's video about how we can stop slicing the driver. So I'd like to firstly start this video by just talking about simply how a slice curvature is going to be caused, because I think it's good to have that background knowledge to know what's actually happening in your golf swing, then talk about a technical change, and then something that we can actually do with our equipment. And I think a lot of people don't do this certain thing because, one, they're scared of doing it because it thinks they show it's a sign of weakness, but ultimately, let's get the equipment working for us and let's get your swing working for you as well. So what actually happens when we hit this slice curvature? Well, very often we hit this slice curvature, we've got one common denominator. This face is very weak and very open. So for a right-handed player, pointing somewhat to the right of target at impact, we now add in a club path that's traveling from out to in, traveling left of target and left of our ball to target line, and now with a face that's pointing right of our ball to target line and right of our path. And those factors there, the fact that the face is pointing right of the ball to target line, right of the path, and we have an excessively out to in path, is the main reason we hit that massive slice curvature. So if we had to demonstrate what that would kind of look like as a motion, we would very much see out to in, open face, and swing through to the left. And we'd also see some common denominators at the top of the backswing as well. Very often I would see a very cupped lead wrist at the top of the backswing, leading to an open face, and this would carry on throughout the downswing into impact. So if we just say simply, a slice is caused by an out to in path with a face that's pointing right of your path and right of your ball to target line. I want to firstly get into what we can do during our swing, and then talk about what we can do to make our equipment work for us. Now, all modern drivers are very adjustable, and most of them have a draw setting and ability to change weights forward and back. So we can talk about how actually our driver setup can actually help us reduce our curvature. So what firstly can we do in our swing? So the first part of stopping you slicing this golf ball is going to be all about what we can do and the feeling of this lead wrist. So I simply want you to grab a T-peg, place that T-peg inside this corner part of your glove here. You can see I'm placing it in, and then I want you to put your glove over. So this T-peg is going to be sticking up out of your golf club. Now what this is going to do is this is going to give us some awareness of what's actually happening to our lead wrist throughout the swing, and predominantly the position at the top of the backswing. Like I said at the start of the video and categorized the positions about what people do when they slice it, remember I said it's an out to in path of the face that's pointing right of our ball to target line and right of our path. And predominantly we see at the top of the backswing a very much a cupped lead wrist. So we're going to talk about how we can go from a cupped lead wrist to really feeling as though we've got it matching and flat. And for me, the first stage of actually getting rid of your slice is hitting a pull shot. So matching face and path both to the left, and that's really going to give us a great opportunity of reducing curvature. Remember, the first stage of stopping your slide is reducing curvature and not searching for that draw straight away. That could be detrimental. So first stage is match face and path. So if we strengthen the face, it's going to be pointing to the left hopefully, and hopefully the same amount as your club path. So let's talk about what we can do as a feeling to help stop cupping that wrist at the top of the backswing. What feeling are we searching for at the top of the backswing? Like I said before, very often people slice it open face, cupped lead wrist at the top of the backswing. Now, having this T-peg in there really gives us a great awareness about what this is doing during the swing. So what are we looking for? I want you to feel now that as you take your swing away, we're going to swing this golf club to the top of the backswing, and we're going to feel as though we get like Dustin Johnson. We get into a position where our T-peg is pointing towards the sky. Now in reality, we're probably going to be halfway between Dustin and where you were with a cupped lead wrist, and really trying to get to a position where it's nice and flat. But realise that if we over exaggerate it, so feeling of it being like Dustin really gets us into a stronger position and ultimately allows us to match face and path and reduce curvature. So the first part of today's video and the first part of this is about your swing and actually getting the lead wrist matching the lead forearm. So let's hit this one away. Really trying to feel as though I've got this matching feeling at the top of the backswing, not cupped and weak. So really trying to feel T-peg to the sky will be the nice simple feeling for you to take away. So T-peg to the sky, and I do this slowly with a few waggles to begin with, and really realise that my go-to shot now, or my miss, is going to be a pull, because now in essence we're matching face and path both to the left of target for a right-handed player, reducing that curvature. Remember, the first point of call is reducing that curvature. Let's see if we can hit that pull shot, matching face and path. Pull shot, left of target, straight pull. Now, for anybody that slices it, we start to see that pull shot, we stop seeing curvature, it's a happy place to be. So what can we actually do with the setup of our driver? So nowadays, most modern drivers are very adjustable, and now I really feel that there's almost a stigma actually of adjusting our driver and actually making it work for us. If we look at all the guys in the European Tour and the PGA Tour, they hone their driver in and the setup of their driver to the nth degree to get the most out of it. Now, a lot of the people that, especially when you guys slice it, you're very reluctant to actually set that driver up to draw or actually make it work for you. So what can we do to actually make the driver a bit more forgiving and actually work for us? So I'm gaming currently the Cobra F9 speedback driver. So what could I do if I was slicing this golf ball excessively after I've got my first point of call of actually what technically I can do to improve my swing? What can I do to help my driver set up to reduce that curvature? So let's take the head off to begin with. Okay. So if we look at this driver now, we've got three settings of draw. We've got a draw that's at +1, a standard draw, and then a -1 draw. So ultimately we're adjusting the loft and adjusting the position of where this golf club sits. So first point of call is that if anybody that slices it would predominantly struggle with that face being open. Now on modern drivers, especially like this one now, if I set this one to +1 and draw, that's going to do two things for me. Adding loft to the golf club would look like the face was a little bit closed, so that's going to help me in one respect, but then adding the draw setting as well is going to help me create that draw curvature. So for me on this driver now, I'm going to go to +1 and draw settings. So plus that in there, +1 and draw settings. Now, also on this driver, I can move the weights front to back as well on the back of this golf club. So what I've got actually set up here is I've actually got the driver set up where I've got all the weight close and behind the head. So anytime that weight is close and behind the head, that actually reduces the amount of gear effect. So it makes it less forgiving, but actually reduces spin. So if I get one out the middle, for me, who's a high spin player, makes it very, very good. Now, if we want to make a driver a little bit more forgiving, you want that weight lower and further back. So first point of call, I've gone to +1 and draw. It's going to close that face a little bit by adding loft, but then setting it to the draw setting as well. That's going to help me square it up at impact. And now I'm going to make the driver as forgiving as possible, moving the heavier weight to the back. So now I move the heavier weight to the back, increase the gear effect, and ultimately make this driver more forgiving. So what I've done here is add loft, which slightly will toe the club in, and then I set it to the draw setting, which will help me again have a face that's a little bit stronger at impact. And then finally make the driver as forgiving as possible, put the weight as low and as far back behind the head. And this is ultimately going to get me in a position where I've got the strongest chance of actually reducing my curvature. Let's hit this one away. So there we go. I've adjusted my driver, I've got a feeling to add in my swing from being cupped to nice and strong, and that's ultimately going to help me reduce my curvature. And I really want to reiterate, set your driver up to help you play your best golf. Don't be ashamed of doing that. Get your driver set up as best as possible. So we can add in now a driver that's set up for me. So I've added loft and set it to a draw setting. I've now put the weight low and far back, and that's really going to increase forgiveness and add my feeling of a flat lead wrist, feeling like Dustin, but knowing I'm in the middle point of between Dustin and cupped, and that's really going to allow me to reduce that curvature. And I want to reiterate this again, we're looking for that pull shot. First stage to reducing that slice is that pull shot. Let's hit this one away. Bit of a pull shot there, nice shot actually, really nice shot. exactly what we're after. So let's summarize today's video. So today's video, what was it all about? So first point of call is that we categorized what a slice is, and we said it was an out to in path with a face that's open to the path and open to the ball to target line. And we saw some common denominators about what actually happens to people when they slice it. We very often see them very cupped at the top of the backswing, and this leads to an open face at the top of the backswing and leads into an open face and impact. So first point of call is actually improve our technique, and that's really important. We're going to improve our technique, so feeling as though we've got a DJ, but realizing that we're at the halfway point between that, so we're trying to feel that we've got a nice flat lead wrist, and using that feeling of the T in our glove is a really nice one for that. Secondly, we're going to talk about how we can actually set our driver up for us. So I actually adjusted my driver in 3 ways. One, I set up my driver, I added loft, so went into +1, so made it to 11.5, added a bit of loft, and that toes in the golf club a little bit. I then set it to a draw setting. So I added loft, set it to a draw setting, and moved the weight low and far back to increase forgiveness. And all that is, moving the weight low and far back will increase the chances of forgiveness because it increases the gear effect. Having the weight really close and behind the head, yes, okay, we might reduce spin if you're a high spin player, and if we get out the middle or get it right behind the center of gravity, we might hit a long bullet, but ultimately it's not going to be as forgiving out on the golf course, and that's what we want, forgiveness and hitting a lot of fairways. And ultimately for you slicers, start reducing that curvature. So we've done 2 things that are going to help you improve your golf. One, improve the feeling of, okay, flat lead wrist at the top of the backswing, and that's really going to get you in a stronger position club face wise, and then setting your driver up for you. A lot of you guys will be not wanting to do this because you feel it's not the done thing, you feel like you're cheating the game. Honestly, let's set the driver up for you. Set it to draw, even if you don't want to add loft, just set it to the draw setting and put the weight low and far back, and that's going to give us a better chance of actually reducing that curvature. Loft is your friend in this case, set it to draw as your friend, and center of gravity with the weight low and far back is going to help you reduce that curvature. Thank you for watching today's video on Alex Elite Golf. This is a brand new video that's going to help you improve your golf game. Don't forget, if you've not already guys, smash that subscribe button and smash me a comment down below if you like this and it's reduced you slicing out on the golf course.